The Vatican has just made a bombshell announcement about the next pope, one that could shake the very foundations of the Catholic Church. Behind the scenes, a quiet but fierce battle is unfolding among the cardinals, a struggle for the soul of the Church. Pope Francis changed the rules, and now the stakes have never been higher. In this hidden war for power, a man no one ever expected may soon don the white robes. The Sistine Chapel is far from quiet today. There are no tourists, no cameras, no flashing lights, just whispers and then silence, followed by the loud final sound of the doors locking from the outside. That sound means one thing: the conclave has begun. What happens next behind those sealed doors will shape the future of the Church. Inside sit about 120 cardinals, all under 80 years old, all appointed by the previous pope, and all with one mission: to choose the next spiritual leader of over 1 billion Catholics. Outside, the world watches, cameras rolling, crowds packed into St. Peter's Square. But inside, the rules are strict. No phones. No contact with the outside world. The cardinals sleep nearby in modest Vatican housing, eat simple meals, and walk short paths back and forth to the chapel. Each day, they vote, 2 ballots in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, over and over until someone reaches the required 2/3 majority. This isn't just a vote, it's a pressure cooker. These men are not merely selecting a leader, they're choosing the next voice of the Church, the one they believe will follow in the footsteps of Peter himself, the first pope chosen by Jesus. The process is deep, serious, and messy. Some cardinals want sweeping change. Others crave tradition. Some want a pope who speaks for the poor, while others seek someone to enforce rules and halt the Church's evolution. There are those advocating for a pope from Africa, Asia, or Latin America, and those who prefer a return to Europe and old ways. Each cardinal writes a name on a ballot, folds it, and drops it into a chalice. The ballots are burned after each round. A chemical is added. Black smoke signals no decision. White smoke means a new pope has been chosen. Last time, it took 5 rounds before white smoke curled into the sky, and cheers erupted in St. Peter's Square. The crowd didn't know who the new pope was yet, but they knew the world had changed. That moment is coming again, but this time, it feels riskier, more uncertain.
Why?
Because Pope Francis made sweeping changes. 2/3 of the current cardinals were appointed by him. They largely reflect his vision: a church that listens, that includes, that reaches the margins. But not everyone agrees. Factions have formed. Some want a pope focused on climate change, mercy, and migrants. Others want strict doctrine, strong tradition, and clear rules. Some want a deep thinker. Others want a bold fighter. In the middle of it all, a simple slip of paper carries the weight of history. It reads, "I elect as pontiff." A name is written, folded, dropped in, and the world holds its breath. Once a name reaches 2/3, the chosen man is asked one question: do you accept? If he says yes, he selects a papal name: John, Benedict, Leo, Francis, each name a symbol, a signal to the world. Then, he enters the room of tears, a small chamber where he puts on the white papal robes. 3 sizes await: small, medium, large. He dons red slippers and a white skullcap, takes a deep breath, and steps out onto the balcony. The crowd below erupts as the words are spoken: "We have a pope." Bells ring. A new chapter begins. But behind the pageantry lies something deeper. This is about power, direction, and the soul of the Church. Some believe the Church has softened too much, letting old truths fade under modern pressure. Others believe it's finally waking up, listening to long-silenced voices and opening long-closed doors. Both sides are inside the chapel. Both are praying. Both are fighting. And one man, possibly someone the world doesn't yet know, will soon carry it all: the hope, the fear, the future. The choice is coming fast. And it will not lead to a quiet papacy. Not this time. To understand where the Church might go next, we must look back at the man who changed everything: the Pope from the South. Jorge Mario Bergoglio was never expected to become Pope. Not by tradition, not by geography, not by the entrenched power structures of the Vatican. For centuries, the papacy had belonged to Europe: German, Italian, Polish men, all from the Church's historic center. But Bergoglio came from Argentina, a place that had never seen one of its own rise to the papacy. He was the son of Italian immigrants, raised in a modest home in a tough Buenos Aires neighborhood. He didn't come from wealth. He came from the streets. And yet, he rose and changed everything. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, better known to the world as Pope Francis, came from humble beginnings. His father worked on the railroads while his mother stayed home to raise 5 children. Life was simple: long hours, modest meals, and the clatter of working-class neighborhoods. It was there, in the grit and noise of ordinary people, that the future pope saw what the church could truly be: not gold or marble, but service, to the poor, the sick, and the forgotten. That vision stuck with him. He studied chemistry, took odd jobs, cleaned floors, and witnessed the struggles of poverty firsthand. At 21, he nearly died of pneumonia and lost part of his lung, an early encounter with suffering that left permanent scars. He loved soccer and tango, walked the streets, spoke with strangers, but something deeper kept calling him: a voice, a purpose. By his late teens, he knew he would become a priest. But not just any priest, a Jesuit. The Jesuits were known for strict discipline, intellectual rigor, and dangerous missions. They didn't flee from pain, they ran toward it. That's what he wanted. Bergoglio trained for years, studying philosophy and theology, teaching, preaching, and embracing poverty. The Jesuits don't chase comfort, they chase mission, and he thrived in it. By his 30s, he was leading the Jesuits in Argentina. No small task during a time of chaos. The country was in the grip of the Dirty War, a brutal era when the military seized power and people vanished. As a young priest, Father Bergoglio had to make impossible choices. 2 priests he knew were kidnapped. Some accused him of silence, others claimed he risked everything to save them, meeting generals, pleading in secret, even hiding those being hunted. But the wounds of that time never healed, not for him, not for his country. Years later, he admitted he had made mistakes, confessed he had once been too harsh, too rigid. From that point on, he embraced a new principle: mercy over rules. He faded from the spotlight, lived simply, walked to work, rode buses, cooked his meals, and stayed in small rooms. He never chased power, but Rome noticed. In the 1990s, he became a bishop, then archbishop, and finally, a cardinal. Even then, he didn't change. He still visited slums, stood with addicts and widows, and listened to the unheard. That's when people began calling him the Cardinal of the Streets. While others wore silk, he wore old shoes. While others issued commands from ornate halls, he walked with factory workers and migrants. In 2005, he almost became pope, reportedly the runner-up. But the time wasn't right. Then, in 2013, when Pope Benedict resigned, the door opened again. This time, the cardinals chose the unexpected man from the south, the worker, the outsider, the Jesuit. He chose the name Francis, a name no pope had ever used. It was the name of a saint who gave up wealth, lived with lepers, talked to animals, a symbol of peace, poverty, and compassion. Immediately, everything changed. He stepped onto the balcony and bowed, not like a ruler, but like a servant, asking the crowd to pray for him before he blessed them. He rejected the grand papal apartment and stayed in the guest house he'd lived in during the conclave. No luxury, just a simple bed, a table, a cross, and a suitcase. He traded armored vehicles for a used Ford, gold rings for none, ornate robes for plain white. He smiled warmly like a grandfather, but spoke with the grit of a street fighter. He said the church had to go out, to the corners, to the broken, to the ignored. He called on the church to listen again, to the poor, to women, to youth, to the world. Not everyone liked it. Critics called him too soft, too political, too focused on issues like climate change, migration, and injustice, and not enough on doctrine or rules. But he didn't stop. He addressed Congress, hugged children with disabilities, washed the feet of prisoners, visited war zones, refugee camps, hospitals, and slums. He told the church, stop judging. Start healing. He pushed reforms, both financial and spiritual. He empowered those outside the priesthood, told bishops to listen more than preach, and redefined how the church charts its future. He called it a synod, a walk together. More voices, more dialogue, less silence. It made some bishops nervous, others hopeful. But it moved things. And now, the church stands at a crossroads. Pope Francis is gone, and the very cardinals he appointed are locked in the Sistine Chapel, choosing his successor. Some want to carry his vision forward. Others want to slam the brakes. The next pope could continue his path, reverse it, or carve out an entirely new direction. Now comes the hardest part, choosing the one man who can hold it all together before it slips through their hands. Inside the Sistine Chapel, silence reigns, but it's a heavy silence. The kind that holds tension, not peace. The ballots are still being cast. The names are still shifting. The white smoke hasn't risen. And the cardinals? They're not split in two. They're split in three. There are three competing visions inside the Sistine Chapel as the cardinals choose the next pope. One group wants someone who will keep the church open to the edges, a leader of mercy who walks with the poor, the migrants, and the earth. Another faction longs for a return, a pope who speaks Latin, defends old rituals, and halts the wave of modern change. They want the church of the past, and they want it now. Then there's a third group, the pragmatists, who see the church bleeding members and losing trust. They want someone who can lead, not soft, not rigid, but strong enough to hold everything together before it falls apart. This isn't just a vote, it's a battle, and the world is watching like never before. From Nigeria to the Philippines, Mexico to South Korea, Catholicism is growing fast outside Europe. These regions, once seen as followers, are demanding a voice. Brazil now holds the largest Catholic population on earth, over 120 million, followed by Mexico with nearly 100 million, the Philippines with over 85 million, and even the U.S. with 70 million. These countries are now the beating heart of the Church, not just in numbers, but in youth, energy, and faith. Cardinals from the global South are pushing for a pope who understands hunger, war, and survival, someone shaped by suffering, not luxury. They want a leader who doesn't need palaces or power to guide. But others are digging in, insisting the Church has bent too far, that its center is soft, its doctrine diluted. They want sharper lines, firmer rules, and hard truths. The two sides don't just disagree, they don't trust each other. And the middle group is stuck, trying to keep the Church from splitting in two. That's what the next pope will inherit. The pressure is immense. Some potential names have circulated for years. Others only rose days ago. Suddenly, quiet cardinals from Africa, Asia, and Latin America, men who've served far from the spotlight, are in focus, known for strength and wisdom. There's even talk of wild cards, men who aren't even cardinals yet, but who could technically be elected. It's rare, almost unthinkable, but in a church this tense, some say bold surprise is exactly what's needed. Behind every name is a signal, a direction. This isn't just about the man, it's about what his election says to the world. Will it say the church is still changing, or will it say the change stops here? Outside, in St. Peter's Square, thousands wait, not just for tradition, but for hope. They are tired of scandals, silence, and broken promises. Survivors of abuse want more than apologies, they want justice. Women want more than invitations, they want real influence. Young people want a church that will fight for the planet, for justice, for truth, not hide behind walls and governments. The next pope's voice could echo through parliaments and protests, into prisons and refugee camps. This is no longer just a church moment, it's a world moment. And the cardinals know they can't afford to get it wrong. Inside, the ballots keep coming. Tension rises. Some cardinals sweat, others pray with eyes wide open. Then, it happens, a name crosses the threshold. 2/3. Enough. It's done. The chosen man is asked if he accepts. He nods. Just like that, history shifts. The rituals may be quiet, but behind the curtain, cardinals are whispering. Some are relieved. Some are furious. Others just close their eyes. Because no matter who was chosen, the real work begins now. The new pope steps forward, not just as a leader, but as a symbol, a line in the sand. He must guide the church and keep it from fracturing. If he leans too soft, traditionalists will cry weakness. If he leans too firm, progressives will say the doors are closing again. Speak too much about justice, and he'll be accused of politics. Say too little, and he'll be condemned for silence in the face of suffering. Every move will be judged. Every word will be measured. This is no crown, it's a burden. And the man in white must carry it, every single day, in a world changing faster than ever. So here's the question no one dares ask out loud. Should the next pope be chosen for courage over consensus?